I want to quickly talk to you about PCI compliance in healthcare payment processing. Okay, I mean PCI compliance is a very strict set of regulations when it comes to credit card processing. But in today's conversation, I want to focus on healthcare payment processing. So here's the general information I want you to really think about. The thing is that when you think about observing PCI DSS standards, you have to really understand that it's all about compliance across the board. But also beyond compliance, you have an efficiency. Okay, PCI DSS is actually one of the most effective set of regulations your healthcare business can take to actually beef up its data security. Okay, now given how frequently we hear about, let's say, data breaches, people actually selling private data on the dark web, and so on and so forth, it's really clear that taking proactive steps to protect sensitive information is no longer optional, but really a necessity. Thankfully, observing PSS DSS standards is actually one of the most effective measures that your healthcare business can take actually to really bolster its data protocol. Okay, and so that's pretty important in terms of efficiency, affordability, but also regulatory compliance. So by really striving for a PCI DSS compliance, you're just doing more than following the rules, because the thing is that you are telling your clients that you're really serious about their privacy. You're sending a message to your patients that their security is your top priority, and it's about making a commitment to maintain the highest level of data protection, ensuring that your patients can trust you with their most sensitive information. Okay, now let me go back real quick to PCI. I want to really define what this regulatory body is all about. So what is PCI compliance? So in the simplest terms, PCI compliance means adhering to the payment card industry data security standards. Okay, DSS, data security standard. So created back in 2004 by major card companies, the PCI DSS is all about keeping credit and debit card transactions safe from data theft and fraud, right? It's a set of guidelines to ensure that your patients trust you with their card information, that you're keeping it safe and secured by sticking to the highest security standards. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, the thing is that following these guidelines isn't just about avoiding regulatory trouble, right? When you comply with PCI DSS, you are building, in effect, an environment where patients can swipe, tap, or click with confidence, knowing that their data is handled with the best care. Now, let me talk to you about the requirements here. When you think about PCI compliance in healthcare payment processing, the requirements are pretty straightforward. Okay, so basically, what you want to do is the first thing you want to do is you want to think about firewall configuration. So firewall configuration to actually safeguard cardholder data. So you want to ensure that you have a solid barrier against cyber threats. In other words, you are configuring and regularly maintaining a firewall, creating actually specific equipment standards that really withstand changes in hardware or software. You also want to swap vendor supplied defaults for custom security parameters. So refrain really from using default system passwords or security settings. So no admin or admin slash you want to customize those before using any new system, ensuring immediate protection against threats. Next, you also want to preserve cardholder data securely. See, the whole thing is you are actually treating cardholder data as if this were your own data, right? It's all about empathy here, and empathy goes a long way. So you only want to store data required for, let's say, functional or legal needs. And if you must store data, keep it to a minimum and securely protect it. Okay, and you also want to regularly proceed with quarterly updates, but I would say quarterly purges and limited display of primary account numbers so that you can really bolster your security protocol down the line. Okay, and you also want to encrypt cardholder data during transmission over open public networks. See, the whole thing is that public networks, everybody knows that, can be really a hotbed for cyber thieves and all those bad actors who are really present on the dark web. So you want to safeguard your data in transit by using strong encryption and also security protocols. Okay, and I'm talking about security protocols, the like latest version of the security protocols. So it means that you have to really actually only adhere to a cutting edge technology, but also cutting edge software processes. Next, you also want to regularly update antivirus software or programs. This sort of goes back to what I just said, right? It's all about having the latest version of the technology. So cutting edge technology. Okay. So keep all systems, including employee workstations or handheld devices, under the continuous protection of up-to-date antivirus software. So if you're really serious about PCI compliance in healthcare payment processing, you want to really pay attention to that regularity. Okay, regularity in terms of updating antivirus software or programs. Also, you want to develop secure systems and applications. So keep your software guarded against exploits through regular patch updates. And if possible, you want to create a process for discovering and ranking new vulnerabilities. See, the thing is that there are always vulnerabilities coming to the market, quote unquote market. I mean, like those bad actors, those thieves, those cyber thieves, they're busy too. They're busy coming up with new systems, new nefarious systems. So you got to really be really prepared as well. Also, you want to basically you want to restrict access to a card holder data. Not all employees require access to all data. That's for sure. So what you want to do is you want to limit access to a need to know basis. So NTK, need to know basis, denying any requests that are not specifically permitted. See, the whole thing is that if you follow the NTK process, need to know process, you have to really you are in effect, let's say, instilling an extra layer of accountability, an extra layer of confidence in your security processes. Also, if you're thinking about PCI compliance in healthcare payment processing, you want to really think about having a unique ID for each user. This will really help you it will help in terms of accountability. You'll know who did what or who does what, by the way. So security is really improved when each user's activity can be traced back to them. Going back to what I said about accountability. So remember to enforce dual factor authorization for remote access. Okay, very important. So if you're thinking about PCI compliance in healthcare payment processing, I want you to really limit physical access to cardholder data, right? It's all about, again, it's all about showing your cardholders that your clients that you are really serious about their data. So access control needs to extend into the physical world. So what you want to do here is that on a continuous basis, you want to control, monitor, and log on. You want to really monitor the logon site access. You want to adhere to information distribution procedures, and you also want to destroy all unwanted or even out of use media. Okay, and that's important from a long-term point of view. And you also want to monitor network resources and data. So what you want to do is you want to keep a keen eye on your network's access points because their vulnerabilities can expose your data. So regular monitoring and testing are really key, not only in the short run but also in the long run. Okay, and that's going to help you really create a let's say an environment where you're constantly strict, you're constantly concerned about the security and safety of your clients' data. Also, you want to regularly test security systems and processes. That's important also to actually buttress the foundation of your IT systems. So you want to review, for instance, the effectiveness of controls through regular testing, ensuring that your measures remain robust against existing and emerging threats. That's what I told you a little earlier that the bad actors are constantly coming up with new products and services. I mean, coming up, they're constantly devising nefarious strategies. So you got to be prepared as well. Okay, so you constantly have existing and emerging threats, and you also want to let's say you want to create and enforce a policy that manages information security for all personnel. That's important. Establish a security policy that actually sets the rules for your entire team. And the cool thing is that when you have such a uniform policy, it's going to make sure that you can ensure that everyone abides to keep leveraging data without compromise, right? And it's all about creating uniformity across the board. If you have a large team, that's even more important because you are making sure everybody's actually following the rules. So when you think about PCI compliance in healthcare payment processing, there are some challenges. I mean, not everything is rosy. So I want you to really be aware of the struggles that you might have when it comes to a PCI DSS compliance in healthcare. So getting PCI's DSS compliance in healthcare is not straightforward. The sector is a complex environment, and the delicate nature of the data involved bring unique challenges. But let me give you a few of the main hurdles that you might face when it comes to achieving PCI compliance. So you have complex network segmentation. That's important. So healthcare institutions often operate extensive and complex networks to really support a wide range of services from patient care to billing, right? So implementing network segmentation, a key requirement for PCI DSS compliance, becomes, you probably thought about it, an intricate risk. It requires getting the split between the network and other processes into secure segments or subnetworks to ensure that access to a cardholder data is strictly controlled and isolated from the rest of the network operations. Now, the aim here is to limit an attacker's access in case he or she does breach the defenses. So achieving this level of segregation, when you think about it, without disrupting patient data or patient care, requires meticulous planning and execution. So besides a complex network segmentation, you also have legacy systems, another important criterion. So basically, you have to deal with legacy net systems. So a large portion of healthcare IT infrastructure is actually composed of legacy systems that may no longer be supported by the manufacturer or have outdated security features, making them highly vulnerable to cyber threats. So these systems often cannot be easily upgraded or replaced due to the critical applications they support or budgetary constraints. So this reality, when you think about it, creates a substantial hurdle in meeting PCI DSS standards, which really demand up-to-date security protocols to actually protect cardholder data across the board. You also have another problem, and that's multi-regulatory compliance. So healthcare organizations face the challenge of adhering to multiple regulatory standards simultaneously. So besides PCI DSS compliance, there is also the need, you probably guessed it, the need to comply with HIPAA, which governs security and privacy of patient health information. So that's really important to really think about, to think in multiple ways. So each has its set of regulations tailored to protect sensitive information, but the overlap is not as much as you would hope, meaning that there are lots more boxes to check. So this is important to think about it because this dual compliance can stretch resources thin and necessitate a careful balancing act to ensure that both sets of regulations are met without compromise. So when you think about leveraging technology and the right payment processor for PCI compliance, especially in healthcare payment processing, this is really important, right? The right software can really solve your problems, or at least contribute to solving your problem. So staying on top of PCI compliance requires a smart blend of technology and strategy. So the right tech stack not only simplifies the compliance process, but also fortifies your defense against, let's say, data breaches, but also a privacy theft. This is where the selection of technology and payment processor becomes quintessential. Okay, so I want to talk to you quickly about some of the way you can integrate third-party solutions by focusing, among other things, on encryption and also opting for secure data storage, so you can really make your PCI compliance easier in the long run. So when you think about third-party solutions, I want you to understand that this is a very powerful process because leveraging third-party solutions can be a game changer for organizations such as yours, aiming for PCI compliance. And these solutions are actually designed to shoulder some of the heavy liftings, particularly in handling and securing payment data. So if you are able to choose, let's say, a reputable third-party payment processor provider, you can really minimize the amount of sensitive data you need to deal with directly. Encryption and secure data storage actually is important because here you have the non-negotiable defense mechanisms really helping you out. Okay, and so encryption is a critical non-negotiable requirement of PCI compliance. So encryption ensures that even if data gets intercepted, it remains indecipherable and useless to unauthorized eyes. Okay, that's really important from a scalability point of view. Okay, so the latest in encryption tech secures data both when in transit and when it's stored, making it a critical component of both immediate and long-term data protection strategies. This is where secure data storage solutions come in, providing a safe place for storing actually sensitive information. So by prioritizing actually encryption and secure storage, you can significantly mitigate risks associated with data breaches. Let me give you some extra information here. So when you think about the healthcare industry, and especially PCI compliance, you got to really find the right partner, right? Find the right payment processor provider, if you will. Okay, you want to have somebody who understands your operations, because being compliant with PCI DSS is a key part of keeping that data safe, the client data safe, especially when it comes to payment information. So when patients see that their payment information is handled securely, they feel more confident in your organization. And the cool thing is your reputation gets a boost. Okay, so you want to have a payment processor that can really help you follow PCI standards and recognize that the process can be it can be really stressful. Okay, so you want to have basically a provider that has tailored its solutions to make sure that you're constantly addressing complexities. Okay, and also one thing I want to say, I want you to really understand here is that PCI DSS compliance is really crucial for healthcare organizations because they often process payments through credit and debit cards. Compliance ensures that this payment information is kept secure, reducing data breach risks and fraud. And you got to have that because the thing is, if you are PCI compliant, your organization maintains patient trust and complies with legal and regulatory obligations. But just make sure that you do not actually just make sure you can strike the right balance between PCI DSS compliance and HIPAA regulations compliance. That way, you're able to actually abide by both regulatory bodies, if you will. And so, even if you are a smaller healthcare practice, you need to also be a PCI DSS compliant. Okay, any healthcare practice that processes, stores, or transmits cardholder data, regardless of its size, needs to be PCI DSS compliant. So the scale of the practice may influence the specific requirements and processes for compliance, but the fundamental responsibility to protect payment card info remains constant across all healthcare providers. So that's really important for you to really understand this year, okay? Now, one thing for sure, PCI DSS compliance is not the sole responsibility of the healthcare organization, but the ultimate responsibility lies with the healthcare organization because it is the one that processes cardholder data. So here's a quote. In today's conversation, I spoke to you about PCI compliance in healthcare payment processing, and I give you the general information, the requirements, the challenges, the extra information, and now the quota. Thank you so much. God bless you. I see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.